Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and it's colour combo time again. Now colour combo, if you're not familiar with what it is, myself and Paula Keen in the Netherlands organise a colour combo each single month of the year in conjunction with PM Artist Studio in their Facebook group, which is the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists group. Link in description box below if you wish to join the group, and it's a very supportive group of like-minded people who are creative, supportive, loving and caring. You just need to answer, I think, either 2 or 3 questions to get in. It's fabulous. So every single month we put out a combination of colours that has been generated by the subscriber requests or requests from friends and followers, and it's not a challenge. It's just something to give you a chance to look at other colour combinations. We always say you don't have to buy the exact colour paint or ink or glass or fabric, whatever you're doing the colour combo in. However, just get as close as you can. We don't want anyone to spend money that they don't need to spend. So the rules are, or the guidelines are, there are normally 3 colours. So this month's colours are sky blue. Well, I happen to have something called sky blue by Amsterdam. Clotted cream, I'm actually going to use buttermilk because that looks clotted cream enough to me. If I did want to warm it up, I could add a little touch of yellow to make it warmer, but I'm happy with that colour. And then the 3rd colour is sage green. Now, I don't have sage green, but I have seen Patricia from PM Artist Studio make sage green, and she used a green, I think it was a blue-based green, and a red, and then added white to it, which then gave us that nice, soft, delicate sage colour. Now, in the final thing, the only thing that's supposed to be is the 3 colours, which will be sage, clotted cream and sky blue, are supposed to be featured or at least dominant or noticeable in the final image. You can actually use black and white, or choose not to use black and white. You can actually add a colour which is a metallic, and I'm using deep gold. You can choose to use that or not to use that, so you've got some flexibility. So I'm going to get on with this, and I'm going to use my gel plate today. I'm using a 12 by 12 gel press, and I'm going to just make a 12 by 12 background. So make sure that's in shot. I've got a piece of 250 GSM cardstock here, and I'm going to build it upon that, and we'll talk as we go along. Now, my concerns are this is a really delicate, and I do mean really delicate, colour combination. So I'm going to have to play this one a little bit easy. So I'm going to put down a base coat, and I'm going to put a base coat of blue. I'm also going to mix into that blue some white. Now I'm using acrylic paints. You could use whatever mediums you chose because, as I said, not a challenge, just fun. Now I also want to put a little bit of my version of buttercream, double cream, which is going to be buttercream, just a little bit of that in the background. And I think, to be honest, I'm going to add a little bit of the gold as well. Purely, I'm trying to give the whole 12 by 12 a platform of colour, or else it's going to look so pale white on white. Now I'm mixing them up on my 5 by 7 here so that I don't get too many splodges of colour, because if you put the colour directly on your plate, all of those different colours, you'll find you'll get dots and patches and ovals, whereas by mixing it up little by little on here, I'm still going to get patches and dots, which is the reason I did this method. However, what you're going to find is they're going to be a little more distributed. So pop that down, stick this down on top. Now I know, because my gel press is an old gel press, that it's shrunk and distorted slightly over time. So I can come in with the remaining paint just to make sure the paint goes all the way to the edges. As you can see by that, I'm very happy with that. That looks like, I'm okay with that. That looks lovely. Let's just pick up these edges. I'm trying to go for something relatively delicate, something nice, and I don't even want to say summery because it's not summery. It's just something nice. So I'm going to put that to one side to dry off. We'll look at it as we go along. Now, with the paint that's left here, you may have seen in a previous video, I use old textbooks to actually clean up my paint with, purely because that way I'm not wasting paint, and it does mean that I'm making more painty pages as I go along. I'm quite good with the amount of paint when it comes by 12 by 12, so I don't really have a lot of waste, but this is the way I would use it up. So there you go. See, just building a background. And as time goes by, I mean, here are a couple of others. They end up with backgrounds on them. And when they get to the point where I'm happy with them, I take them out of here and put them into a box, and they're collage papers. They're actually, I'll try and remember to link the 2 videos about these. 2 videos or 1 video? Might be 1 video about these that I released recently if you haven't already seen it. So right, so I've got this. I'm actually loving that where that is right at this moment in time, and we've already got in there the metallic, we've got the white, we've got the cream, although it's not definitely cream in there, and we've got the sky blue in the background. So I'm going to save the green for one of the last things I do on here. So my next job is I want to come in and just put a little hint of something into this that's going to give me a touch of drama. So I'm going to take some of my buttercream for me, and it's double cream for you guys, unless you don't have it, you've got buttercream instead. And I'm going to mix this with some of the gold. Now I'm going to use one of the colors that isn't in the mix, but I'm choosing to use it because these 2 will actually make sage green. So it's like, if I'm using green, I feel quite right to use yellow and blue, because yellow and blue make green. So personal choice, as I said, there's no rules, art is art. And I'm just going to put the tiniest little bit of red in there, because I want this to be a sort of subtle reddish gold colour. Mixing it around on the plate. So you can see I've got this really nice warm, it's not even a flesh colour, it's just a colour. And then I'm going to do what I call kissing the plate. I'm just going to touch this down, just so it picks up some patches of this. Because as I said, we're going for delicate. See, that's looking lovely all of itself. So that little edge hasn't got something on it. And then again, I'm going to come in with my book and just clean up anything around here, because I don't need it to be otherwise. And this page on the back, because I'm turning it this way to press down, I'll end up taking that one off as well eventually, and it'll get used. So right, where are we up to now? So this is what we've got. As I said, I do have an idea of how I want to use the sage green, and the sage green is going to be one of the last things to do. I think no one is going to deny we have sky blue. So I'm going to put sky blue to one side at the moment, because I know it's relevant. I don't need to use black and white, but I will be using black and white. Don't forget, black and white make grey, so I'm within my rights to use grey. So that's on there. What colour do I want now? The cream is the one that's not really that dominant on here. So what do I want to do with the cream? Actually, let's leave this on here. I'm sitting it on my gel press, and that's purely because it'll suction to it and it'll actually give it more of a grip. So I'm going to come back in with that buttercream colour again, and I'm going to do some stenciling onto this now. Again, I'm talking background layers here, and I'm going to use one of my friend Darcy Sanders' stencils. I think this is called More Messy Borders. I will try and do my best to actually have this in the description, guys. It's one of my favourites. I'm really loving this, but I'm a border person. I like borders. I'm using a bit of a sponge, and what I'm going to do, let's get that water off there, is I'm going to come in, and I want to use this one. As you can see, I've used it before and I do like it. So I'm popping some paint on, dabbing it on, dabbing it off, and I'm coming in. Now, if it goes under the stencil, I don't mind. I'm literally just trying to put some interest into the background. I know this is going to be quite subtle in the background, so I'm not worried that it's going to dominate. I've done it there, lift it up, lift the right one up. See, it's in there, and I'm loving that. And I'm trying to create something that is almost wallpaper-ish, but isn't wallpaper. But something that maybe gives that illusion of old wallpaper. You know, when you go into one of those houses and you're like, oh, there's some stuff on the wall, what is that? And it's faded, it's old, it's wearing out. The owner decorated 50 years ago and hasn't bothered to update the decor, that sort of feel. See, so I'm just getting it in, so it would be a repeated pattern if it was wallpaper, and that is my intent. So this is one of my favorite techniques of painting, is getting a sponge and putting it through a stencil. I like the fact that it gives me a very much, and I know I use this word a lot, and I apologize to anyone who's offended, which I'm sure no one is I like that organic feel I get with a sponge. I think I'll move that up there, do a little bit at the top. That's one good thing about this design. It doesn't have to be straight. And then come down here and put a little bit more down here, just so that things aren't repeated too much. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's nice. Loving that. There's that bit stuck in the middle. So I'm just going to come in with my book, and I'm going to put down the stencil as it was and just brayer it off. And as you can see, I've got stuff through it. Actually, just pick up the stuff on here and brayer through there as well. Just don't want to waste paint. That's me. There you go. Loving that. So where are we up to now? So I now think, let's put that to one side so I don't damage it. I already have the cream, the blue. I'm waiting for the green. I don't have black. I do have some white to put on here, and I'm wondering whether now is when I want to do that. I think it is actually. Let's get some white into play. And if the white mixes ever so slightly with the buttercream on here, that doesn't bother me. So what I'm going to do is I'm loading up my brayer, not too heavily, but lowering it up, and I'm going to flick down here. So I'm literally just letting the brayer itself rest on the surface, just to give myself a little bit of interest here and there. See, that's enough for me. I don't need any more than that. Let's grab another one of these books and just put some of this on here. And I think this one could probably do with some as well. So let's touch that down. I will be doing a video in the future on how I use these, by the way. I just haven't got around to doing it yet. So if you ask in the comments, that's going to be my answer. Right, so I'm happy with that where we're at. Actually, you know what I think I want to do, and this could be a bit of a risky moment. I think I want to press down kitchen towel and lift that away a little bit. What that will do is it will flatten out any ridges, so I'm having very flat texture here, and it also pushes it down into the surface below, and it gives me a more realistic view of what's coming through it. Not happy with that line there. I'm wondering whether I can somehow... Maybe not. I'll deal with it. There's more to go on here anyway, so I'm not overly bothered at that point. So I've got my pieces in here. When do I want to do the green is the question. Right, I know when the black is. I think maybe it's time. Yes. Let's do the metallic bit now. Now, what I wanted to do with the metallic is I wanted to stamp. And when I say stamp, I'm going to stamp with, it's a foam stamp that I designed for PM Artist Studio. And it's obviously numbers. And I love this stamp, so I like using this one a lot. So whenever you're pressing, you always find that the middle of the stamp sometimes, because it's a foam stamp, may not press and pick up paint. So just make sure that you spend a little bit of extra time and actually look at it. If you think you've got too much paint on, try to clean a lot of the paint off your brayer and then brayer it flat again. And I wanted to do that so that it's actually more of a subtle piece. Press in the middle, press around the edges and lift. See, that's lovely, this stamp. Yeah, let's go. So I'm trying to think which way I want this. Let's go by there. Pick up. And I think I want to come down and I want to put something in the side there. Right. Then the remains of this, let's move this out of the way so I don't get stuff stuck all over the place. I'm going to pick up some of this and just put this onto my clean off pages, just so that we're not wasting anything. And let's just brayer this off on here. Oh, we're going to have a gold page. Let's just pick that up. So right, so I'm getting where I'm hoping to go with this, which is good. That's what this will need to sit. This is just a wet cloth. It's not dirty, it's stained. It's one I use for art stuff. Sitting it on there means that the paint won't dry on the foam stamp, so I can use it later. I can clean it off later, sorry, not use it later. Right, so here we are. Just going to come in again with my bit of kitchen towel, just because, as you can see, there's outlines on some of these numbers. I want them to be flatter. Don't ask me why, it's just the way I am today. I just feel that I don't want this to be raised texture. I just want it to be there. Okay, now this is still bothering me, and I'm wondering what I want to do about it. I would quite like, let's put some blue. I know we said we'd done with the blue, but I think I'm going to come in with a bit of blue and just a little bit of mark making in there. Let's use lines. I use this so often. This was a non-slip mat for something or other. I don't know whether it's packaging or something like that. I use it so often now. If I put this so that line is concealed, that may help conceal the line. It'll also push some of the white into the background. Not that that was ever a problem. I think one day this is going to become a piece of art all in its own, this piece of non-slip mat. I'll just bring that over there. Okay, that's getting me where I want it. It's really hard for me to do things that are really subtle because I'm so used to doing things that are quite dramatic because I like contrast. Okay, let's take the remains of this and put it onto something. Let's just pick this up on here. That'll do. A little bit on there. So where am I up to? Right, so I've got that on. I've got all the colours because I can see them, except the green. And the green is fine because the green is going to be one of the last things that go on here. Now, so I'm just having a little bit of a think before I start with the green. I would quite like to put some subtle black into this. I wonder. Right, I've got one of these. This is for like embroidery work. It's for constructive embroidery, let's call it that, because I don't know exactly. People do keep telling me and I keep forgetting. Guys, I have no memory anymore. I'm completely and utterly, my brain is so full of other things, it just bounces things straight back out the window. I'm sure you'll agree, some of you may be doing the same thing. So I'm just going to come in. I always leave the tab on it because it gives me somewhere to hold on to. I'm not looking for perfect, remember. If anything, I'm trying not to be perfect. Oh, I'm liking that one a little bit in there as well. So let's just bring in one of these. And then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to stop the video for a second because I need to dry these before I go on to the next piece. I mean, dry the whole print, not necessarily these pages, because that's not what these are about. So here I am back again. I've taken it off the 12 by 12 because I no longer need that gel plate, but I will use this one because I tend to use the 5x7 as my palette. Now I pulled out one of my own border collection stencil sets because I want some leaves. And I don't even think that one's, oh, it is supposed to be. There's a larger and a small set in here, so just want to untangle things. I want the larger one, I think. Are they the same? Why am I looking at this not being able to see? They look the same to me. No, they are different. Okay, that's fine. I think I like this one. Let's go with this one. Right, as I said, there's a large set and a small set, and that's the designs in them. Again, they can be found at PM Artist Studio, which is who I designed for. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to sponge through this. So I've got a bit of sponge again, but I want to make that sage green. Now, sage green is quite a light color green. So what I want to do is I want to make two versions of it, a lighter version and a darker version. Now, when you're mixing paint, it's not a measured science as far as I'm concerned. I tend to just go with my gut and I tweak as I go along. So I want to divide it into two, don't I? So maybe I do want a little bit more. And if I make too much paint, that's fine. So I'm using that much. So it's probably about 2/3 to 1/3. I'll keep this out because I just want to mix this until I see what color it goes. Right, that's quite a muddy green, but that's okay because I've got white to add to it yet. So a little bit of white, because of course green and red will make brown unless you're careful. So I just want to add a bit more of this. I think I'm going to have to add more green to it because that's so not the right color. Yeah, we need more green. Maybe I should have used less red. Okay, that's getting into the ballpark. I'm trying to get away from army green. That's getting there. It needs more white, but we knew it would. Oh, maybe not that much white, but you know what? We'll go with it. Any spare paint will get used up. We know it will because that's just the way I roll. I would suggest it's slightly tricky when you're mixing paints and you don't have a reference. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you just go to the internet and pull up the color on the internet? That's fine, but it'll depend on how your monitor on your viewing device is actually set up. That's actually not bad. I think I'd like a touch more green in it. It's almost there. It's almost there as far as what my imagination thinks it should be. I need to add more white, but as I said, I want to have a lighter and a darker version of the same thing. I think that's okay. As I said, it's darker than what I think it should be. Now, if I do feel I want to tweak it, don't forget, I can add yellow to it or blue to it as well, because they're components of the color green. So just dividing this into two halves. So I'm going to add a little bit of white to one of them, because I want a paler version. See, that's more what I would class as sage green, is that nice delicate color. I'm also trying to make sure it's not too delicate that it's not seen on here. That's okay. And I want a little more green to that one because I want to have some variation. I'm going to have a load of paint left over. But as I said, that's fine. I've got little tubs I can put this into. Paint never goes to waste in my house. So I've got more of a greenish sage and more of a lighter sage. And the reason I wanted that also is because as I'm using a sponge, it's only going to be a thin coating that goes on. I think I'll get away with that. Let's wipe that off as much as I can. So I'm going to come in now. What I want to do is I want to build or play on that idea of actually a wallpaper. And because this piece here really annoys me, that's where I'm going to start. I'm just going to pick up, I'm going to alternate picking up from the lighter color and the darker color. And remember, paint goes a long way when you're using a sponge. I also find sage green to be quite a flat color. It's almost like a chalk-based color, in my opinion. Again, my opinion. Yes, that's what I was looking for. Come down. I'm trying to remember where I put the patterns. Let's come in here again. You don't have to be measuring it out and being really pedantic about stuff. Just do what your eyeball tells you to do. I mean, that's believe me, coming from me, that's a big step forward, because for me, I would have probably measured this out and taped it off, and that would be the old me about a year ago. Now I'm a bit more loose about thinking about things. Right. Let's go about there. Let's use what's on the sponge already. I'll keep loading and loading the sponge and end up with loads and loads of stuff everywhere else. I'm liking this. I like this colour. Yeah, it's a fact. If you are mixing up your own colours, oh, I think I'm off shot. Sorry, guys. If you're mixing up your colours, always have a spare pot to put them in, because you will always make too much. And the other thing too is, if you make the colour too dark and you think, I'm going to keep adding white to it till it's right, stop. Put white down and put some of the dark with the white, because you'll end up putting half a tube of white with that before you get it to where it needs to be. Where if you start with white and you add a little bit of the dark to it, you won't have so many issues. Right, I'm just going to come in down here. And just put a few more of these in. And I'm very conscious this has nothing in it, and I'm okay with that, because it's going to have something in it now. I tend to be leaning towards the lighter colour at the moment, which is fine. That's fine. Everything's fine, as Darcy keeps saying. Darcy Sanders, that is, a friend of mine. The one who designed the stencil. Right, up there needs something. And I think now I'm going to just keep going with what's on the sponge. And I think I'd like just maybe 1 or 2 leaves by here. And I want to say, that's as far as I want that to go at the moment. Right, I need to pause the video, because obviously this needs to fully dry before I do the next bit, which you don't know what the next bit is. I know what the next bit is. I need this to be fully dried. I also need to put this into a pot so I don't lose it. I don't want to waste that paint. I've mixed it up. I'm really quite happy. I will mix the 2 halves together to give me what I want. And I also need to clean off this stencil. So back in 2 seconds, guys. So here we are back. I've dried it with a hairdryer. Hopefully it's dry enough for the next stage. All of that, I ended up with like quite a nice half little bottle of that sage green paint. I don't have sage green, but I do now. So let's just analyze this before I finish it off. So the criteria was to use sky blue. We can definitely see sky blue. Double cream, I used buttercream. I can definitely see double cream in here. Sage green, definitely use sage green. Well, let's do that out of the way. I use this one now. There's also a metallic in here, which was this one, which was the deep gold. There's white in there, you can see that obviously, and there's black. So all of the criteria for the colour combo have been met. It's now just doing the fine details and the tweaking. So I'm going to bring in, this is a PC-1MR or a 0.7 millimeter black Posca pen. I need a bit of paper to make sure it's fully loaded. And this is where I'm going to, yes, that's fully loaded. This is where I'm going to add drama. Now, I'm not going to do the entire thing with you watching, because that will just be mind boring. However, I am going to do these 2 leaves here so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm taking my pen and I'm loosely going around each leaf. And I'm putting a vein up the middle. I do not mind that it's not perfect. If they were bigger leaves, I would probably go through them twice, and then I'm just going to draw a line up the middle of it. So again, loosely round with a vein up the middle, loosely round, vein up the middle, And I'm going to come in, I'm just going to put a central vein. So as you can see, I'm now going to do this over the whole thing. So sorry, you're going to be paused again. I'm going to do that and we're going to come back and see whether I think it's finished, which I think it's going to be. And we're done. Right, that took a few minutes, probably about 10 minutes to do that. And I said I wanted to keep it really loose and sketchy because my nature is to outline everything perfectly and it's all equally spaced and everything. I try to work quicker and I try to work looser because I want that sketchy look. There are times when I will be really precise. There are times like this when I will not and don't need to be. Now, this is a background. This is what I classed it as a background. However, as a background, how would I use it? Well, once the color combo is done, which I consider this done, I could now come in, I could stamp flowers into this, I could paint into this, maybe freehand daisies or something. I could put roses into this. I could do texture based. I could butterflies. I could put creatures. I could cut this up into smaller pieces. I could make it into a journal cover. There's lots of stuff to be done with the background. And as Diane Reevely always says, a background is a background because it's in the background. So I'm not looking for a focal point when I create a background. I'm looking to create something, oh, I missed a piece, something that can carry a focal point. There you go. Let's put that one in there. I thought I probably would have missed one somewhere along the way. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. I did. I don't normally work in a delicate palette. I also like the fact that I made sage green, which I think I'd like to lighten that up just fractionally, but it's perfectly the right shade or right tone for what I've done here. Interesting. I like it. Yeah, happy with that. So I think all that's needed to say for me now is I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.